In this video, I'll show you the process running from insulation all the way through the completed home. This will include the completion of the exterior and all the finished work inside the home. If you haven't seen video 1 or 2, you may want to start there and work your way up to this video. I'll put the link to both videos below. Now, before I go any further, I just want to remind you that I'm a new home construction specialist and not a tradesman or a superintendent. Even though I've been in the industry for 13 plus years, my terminology might not always be spot on, so please don't beat me up on that. I also want to remind you that the construction process and construction practices will vary from one area to another, so things may be done a little different where you come from, and that's okay. But for the most part, things will be similar. Lastly, I want to thank you all for watching. Now, let's get started. Okay, so in the last video, I gave you an in-depth look at the new home construction process from framing to the city's 4-way inspection. Once the city inspector signs off on the 4-way, we can start putting insulation in the home. After insulation, we can start installing sheetrock, but before we can do that, the city will require a final inspection on the insulation. Once they sign off on that, we are off to the races. So let's head out to the home and see how the installation is coming along. Okay, if you look behind me, you can see that they've put in a bunch of the insulation already. So you can see they've stuffed it here between the two studs here. These are 2x6 exterior walls, so this is gonna be a thicker insulation. And of course, if you look here, they put a little plastic sheet up here to kind of keep everything in place. So I'm gonna actually turn the camera around really quick and just kind of show you the rest of the place. So they've insulated the entire upstairs and most of the main as well. And then if you look up here in the ceiling, you'll notice no insulation yet. We'll actually do that later. Okay, if you look behind me, you'll see this big crane right here. It's got a pile of sheetrock and it's gonna lift it up into that house and put it through that window up there. So if you've ever carried sheetrock up the stairs or downstairs, or if you've ever carried sheetrock at all, you will know it sucks. So that machine is a godsend. We've got the sheetrock on that machine right there, and they're just sliding it off a few pieces at a time through that window. Okay, now I'm upstairs. Unfortunately, I feel really bad, but I've missed the crane lifting the sheetrock into the upstairs window. But if you look behind me here, you can see some long pieces of sheetrock have been brought to the upstairs. And to carry sheetrock like this is super heavy. So they've got it on both sides here, and we'll be sheetrocking before you know it. Okay, so we're just getting ready to start the sheetrock part of the process. And there's actually gonna be 2 different kinds of sheetrock that we use. So behind me here, this is the normal sheetrock. You can see it's got a brownish background. And actually I'm gonna flip the camera around because I wanna show you the difference between this and the sheetrock that we use around bathrooms. Okay, so right here is the sheetrock before it's installed, also known as drywall. And you'll notice it comes in these huge sheets, okay? It actually comes in pieces of 2 like this. And what they'll do is they'll just peel this piece out like this and take it down, and you can split these pieces apart. So this light gray piece in here is gonna be on the exterior. This brown piece will actually be stuck against the walls. You'll notice this piece of sheetrock over here looks a little bit different. It's darker gray, and on the back you'll notice it's yellow. Come over here. So this piece of sheetrock or drywall is designed for the wet areas of the home, like your kitchens and bathrooms. And this drywall is mold resistant, and it won't rot, disintegrate, or swell when it gets wet. Okay, one last thing to point out here before they put on the sheetrock is we're in the garage, and you'll notice there's insulation in this section, but not in this section. So the reason it's like that is because you have living space above this section of the garage, And then right here, you'll notice this little front section here and here, there's no living space there. So they'll actually sheetrock that and then blow insulation into these areas afterwards. Okay, it's an exciting day. We have begun sheetrock. I'm in the bathroom. You can see here, like we were talking about yesterday, you've got the dark gray sheetrock here where it's gonna get wet. And then up here, you've got the normal sheetrock. Okay, so you can see we are in a room that's pretty much already done. These special tools to cut around where the light switches and outlets go. And then of course they have, you can see the screws here and here. And they've used two pieces here. So we've got a piece down here and a piece up here. And then one thing you'll notice if you look close is that it's not perfect. Sheetrock doesn't have to be snug. So when they finalize this, they'll actually push a paste in here and then of course they'll put a piece of tape there. I'll show you more about that a little bit later. So if you've ever done drywall, you know one thing, and there is a lot of waste. So every room pretty much looks like this at the end of the process. So unfortunately, there's nothing to do about that. Okay, so this is one of those exciting days at the home when there's a lot of different trades at the house, a lot of different things going on. Right now, the soffit and fascia is being installed on the exterior of the home. So if you look right here, underneath the asphalt shingles, you'll see the exposed wood. And if you come over here, you can see this dark aluminum material, and that's the soffit and the fascia. We also installed it up here. So inside the home, I'm on the main floor now. You can see the sheetrock is pretty much complete. So we're through the sheetrock stage, which means hopefully, most likely tomorrow, we'll be mudding and taping. And you can see that famous scrap of garbage behind me. Okay, if you look behind me, you'll see the concrete truck. They've just finished pouring the driveway. We're gonna go to drone mode to give you a top view. All right, something else new, they have added a hose bib and a vent here. And you can see they put some flashing here around these, same thing to keep water from getting into the house. And if you look up here, you can see we've got a broken window. Guess what? That stuff happens all the time. At this point, we'll just wait until the home's closer to being done and then replace that window. All right, they're done with the driveway. Made it look nice. You can see they also did the stairs leading up to the front porch. Okay, so yesterday we finished sheetrock, and today we are mudding and taping. So if you look right here, you'll see this stripe here. They've got a piece of paper that runs along the seams where the two different pieces of sheetrock came together. And then of course they've got a little thin piece of mud. And then of course if you look here, you'll see these kind of these stripes here. This little dark spot is where there was a screw. So they just kind of run that mud across this. And the reason it's super thin is because they don't want to have to like sand this a whole bunch. So the kind of thinner you keep it, the better. So you can see here, you got a little bit of the screw is exposed here. So I have to actually come back here and hit this one a little bit better. But they're doing a good job moving fast. So you can see here, this is the mud, or they call it the joint compound. It comes in these boxes, but it's this bag here. It's kind of squishy and soft stuff. And then if you look right here, you've got the tape. This is what comes in big rolls of tape like this. And they'll peel this off and just lay these pieces out across the joints, in the corners, and along the walls. The worst part about the mudding and taping stage is I stepped in some of the joint compound. And if you ever stepped on a cow pie, you know what that's like. It's nasty. So I'm gonna have to go find some grass to wipe my shoe off on. Hopefully the neighbors don't catch me. Just kidding, I wouldn't do that. All right, if you look behind me, you can see the scaffolding has been placed around the exterior of the home. That means we're getting ready to start on the exterior. Okay, so I'm in the garage of the house. They have finished mudding and taping, and now they're on to doing the corners. So just want to kind of show you a couple things real quick. This piece right here, this little metal piece, they're actually going to be a little bit longer, but I got this little scrap just to show you this example. It will go on the corners like this. So when a house has square corners inside, they'll have a piece like this that runs all the way from the floor all the way up to the ceiling. We're doing rounded corners in this house, but we still have windowsills and things like that that will get these square pieces. So once again, on a windowsill, they'll just set this piece on just like that, and they'll put the joint compound on each side of this to make it smooth and they're really nice. Okay, so now I'm going to show you the corner beads that we're doing. Because we're doing rounded corners, we're using a piece that looks kind of like this from the top. Let me show you from the top. Looks like that at the top, okay? And this piece is going to fit on the corner just like this, okay? And they'll just kind of bend these pieces in, and that'll make the nice round corners for you. Okay, so we're in the house now. I'm going to show you some of the corner bead. Hope you enjoy the music. I don't get the choice of music, but it's okay. I actually really enjoy it. So I'm going to flip the camera around, and I'm going to show you these corners. So this is a perfect example of the corner. You can see that they use little staples in here. From this angle, maybe this angle will be a little bit nicer. It takes you over these sharper corner beads you see here. They're all the way to the floor. All right, if you look behind me, you'll see some black paper on the exterior of the home. This is a weather-resistant barrier paper, which will run behind many of the different kinds of siding like stucco, stone, and etc. This is actually the second line of defense against weather, with the OSB serving as the first. And if you remember from my last video, the OSB is that compressed board. So let's go check out inside and see what's going on in there. Okay, the mudders and tapers should be finishing up today. You can see the wall behind me. It's looking nice and smooth. It's been a little wider to kind of cover that tape up. Okay, if you remember from the earlier video, you could see the metal corners here. And you can see they've taken the joint compound around each side like this, and that'll help make it look a little bit smoother. They'll come in here and sand it down to help that as well. And if you look here, this is that plastic piece for the rounded corners. You'll notice once again, they've taken that joint compound or that mud and they put it on each side here, and this will help make everything look smooth. Okay, so I'm standing outside on the exterior of the home. You'll notice behind me this wire mesh. This is for the stucco. It'll help the stucco stick better to the house. So they've put this wire mesh around most of the house already. Okay, we are at the end of day 3 with the mudders and tapers. You can look along the wall both directions here. You can see they've done a beautiful job. When we paint this, it's gonna give the wall a nice texture to it. You can see here, like this whole spot here that's dark, it's nice and smooth. So you're not gonna be able to see the joints where the two pieces of drywall came together. So it's looking really good. The last thing I want to show you is the corners, so you can see how smooth they did that. So if you look here on this corner here, once again, you can see how nice and smooth that is. When they paint that, it's going to look so beautiful. They did a great job. I'm really excited to move on to the next part of the process. Okay, so I guess I should also show you the ceiling. They actually do that a little bit different, but you can see that they've also textured the ceiling. And same thing, when they paint that, it was just really nice. So you can see they've also hung sheetrock in the garage, and they've mudded and taped it as well, but it's not as pretty as it is on the inside. The reason being is that this is here for fire safety only. So you can see this is actually really rough. It's not very nice, but it doesn't matter. The garage isn't supposed to look nice. It's just, like I said, it's just here for fire safety. So the garage is pretty much done at this point. All right, so in the last 2 days, we have installed the doors, the shelves, like you can see behind me. They've installed the trim on the floors, around the windows, and around the doorways. and they've put up the rail on the stairs. So I'm gonna flip the camera around so you guys can see that. All right, so here you can see the wood shelves have been installed, and then you can see the trim on the floor and on the window there, the windowsill. You come over here, you can see the door has been installed with the trim around it as well. Now when they paint, they'll actually remove the doors. Here you can see the rails for the stairs have been installed. The mudroom bench has been installed, as well as the shelf above that. And then of course, if you look in the kitchen pantry here, the shelves have been installed there as well. You can see that they've also installed the shelves on both sides of the fireplace and the fireplace mantle. You can see behind me, they have not started on the stucco yet. Wire mesh is here, but they have installed the cement fiber. So if you look up here above me, the cement fiber board has been put into place. So we're just waiting for stucco. Okay, so in the house today, we've started painting and caulking. So I'm gonna flip the camera around to kind of show you that part of the process. So you can see the caulking here on this shelf, and they'll caulk it just like this right before they paint it. So if you look right here on this window, you can see they've caulked, and that gets rid of the cracking that's there. It just makes everything look a little nicer. And then of course upstairs they are painting. So that's a little machine here. They just put the bucket of paint right there. And push a button, goes up this hose and sprays up there. Okay, so we are in the house and they've been painting the trim. They start with the trim first when you're doing two-tone paint. And I can barely breathe. I actually really hate being in a house at this part of the process. So I'm gonna flip the camera around real quick and kind of show you some of the work they've done. One thing you'll notice behind me here is you'll see all the doors. They actually remove the doors and paint the doors to match the trim. So you can see all the doors have been painted. All right, so you can see the trim all the way around this room has been painted, and also around the windows. And you'll notice they've taped off these windows, so there's actually a plastic sheet there. I don't know if you can see it. I'll show you on an open window a little bit better. But they've also sprayed like this top piece of this railing going down the stairs here. And if you look in here, you can see the plastic a little bit better. Also, this will give you a good view. They also paint the shelving and the inside of the closets white as well. So even if the walls are gonna be like tan or gray or whatever, inside the closets, it'll always be white, so you can get a little bit better lighting in there. Okay, unfortunately, not a lot happened today, but you can see tomorrow they'll probably come in here and paint this really fast. You can see they've taped off everywhere they painted white yesterday. So you can see they've taped off the stair rail and the trim going down the stairs, as well as this top cap here. All right, the good news is the painters got here early this morning and painted the house. The bad news is I don't get to show you video of them actually spraying. So if you look behind me here, you can see the closet's white like it was yesterday, and the walls are gray now. So I'm gonna flip the camera around and give you a little bit better view. All right, you can see the white versus the gray here. If you look down here, you can see there's a little bit of overspray. That's normal, it happens. They'll come back and touch that up. But you see how nice that looks with the white trim and the dark gray walls. This room is a really good example. You can see the white trim and the gray walls. Even the windowsills here you can see are white. Just makes the house look really sharp. The other piece of good news is that the Stucco guys are here today. You can see the Stucco mixer behind me there. The Stucco mixer is probably not the official name, but at least we all know what it does, right? So we've got the Stucco mixer behind me, and the bags of stucco there as well. And you can see they've already completed this entire side of the house here. So you can see here on the back side, the stucco is completed. And if you come here to the side here, you can still see the wire mesh. Now that they're done with the two-tone paint, you'll also notice the doors have been reinstalled. Okay, so yesterday they applied the first layer of the stucco. I've heard it called the gray coat, but it's also known as the scratch coat. And that's because you'll see the lines through it, which helps the next layer of stucco stick to it better. So I'm gonna flip the camera around really quick to give you a nice close-up of the scratch coat. You can see the wire mesh actually still in the coat, but you can see they also take a trowel and put lines through it, which will help the next layer stick better. All right, you can see the cabinets have been completely installed behind me. You'll also notice most of the flooring is done through the crosshair, so they've been working hard in here today. You'll also notice up here, there's a fan. So the electricians have been installing fans, light switches, outlets, things like that. So we are moving along, ready to get this house done. You can see here in the laundry room, the floor drain has been installed, the dryer vent, the electrical outlet for the dryer, and of course you got the outlet up here as well, and water lines. Here in the master bathroom, you can see the flooring is completed, the cabinets are installed, light fixtures are in, and then if you turn around here, you can see ceiling fan is in, you've got light switches and floor outlets, so they're moving right along in this home. Okay, nothing really new happened today in this house, but behind me, you can see them cutting the curb down for the driveway. So they brought in a cement cutter, cut that curb down right there, and you can see this guy in the background picking up the pieces and throwing them into the back of the truck. And then you have this guy with the grinder over here making it look smooth. Today in the house, we have the carpet going in. I'm gonna flip the camera around for you. Okay, so you can see here, this little tack board here. This goes around the whole edge here. It's super close. You can see it's got tiny little nails on there. You wouldn't want to step on that. And then you see here, they got the pad here, and this pad is also stapled down. And then they take the carpet here, and they're gonna roll this carpet out over on top of this, and then they'll just trim off the extra leftover pieces after they tighten it. Okay, I just want to show you how cool this is. In one day, two guys carpeted this entire house. Master bedroom. Are you getting dizzy yet? So you can see how quickly things are coming to a close here. Okay, things are moving right along. As you can see behind me, the countertops have been installed. And of course, if you look right here, you can see the kitchen sink has been put in. And if you look at the cabinets as well, you can notice all the handles have been installed. So we're moving right along. If you look behind me here, you'll notice there's a couple places where cabinets are missing. That's pretty normal. In these last few weeks, we'll get all that stuff taken care of. Anything that seems to be missing or broken or whatever, that's just part of the process. Okay, you can see here in the master bathroom, they've installed the handles on the cabinets and the sinks and the countertops. And if you look at the sink right here, this is what they call undermount because the sink is mounted under the countertop. And then you can see they drilled 3 holes here. The first hole right here in the middle is for the faucet, and the other 2 holes are for the cold and hot water valves. All right, we're moving right along. This afternoon, we've had the faucets installed, so you can see both of these here are in. Also behind me here, you'll notice the tub faucet's in, and the shower head is in. So moving right along. Okay, you can see that the pedestal sink and toilet have also been installed, as well as like your toilet paper holder and your towel holder here. And in the kitchen, you can see the faucet has been installed. And if you look on this side on the fireplace, you can see that the tile has been installed as well. Okay, if you look behind me here, they are working on the stucco today. So if you look on the side here, it's white, but on the front where they haven't got to yet, you can still see there's that gray scratch coat. So moving right along there, I'm gonna turn the camera around so you can see a close-up of the stucco. So here you can see the gray coat or the scratch coat. If you come around the corner here, you can see the white stucco. And then you can see that the electrician has actually been out here as well and installed the light out there on the back porch. And the final bit of good news for the day is that the water heater has finally been installed. Well, one thing I've learned about making these videos is that Mother Nature doesn't care. But I want to show you really quick. If you look behind me, you can see the stone has been placed on here and the stucco is complete. They still haven't taken down the scaffolding, but I'm going to flip the camera around really quick so you can see the stone on the front of the house. Okay, so you can see the stucco is done around the doorway. And then today they just installed the stone around the front of the house here. Okay, so we're pretty much done here. I'm just gonna flip the camera around real quick to just show you the few remaining things that need to be done. Okay, if you look right here, you'll notice we're missing a couple of things. We're missing the trim that runs along the floor right here, and we're missing the vent. If you look right here, they just have a little patchwork to do. It's pretty common to have little things like that. If you look closely at this trim, you'll see that it's all scuffed up. It's pretty normal. So there's gonna be paint touch-up that needs to be done here. So if you look close, you'll see there's garbage and scraps of carpet and all that sort of stuff in here. So the last step, once we get everything touched up, will be to clean up all this garbage and make everything look pretty. On the outside, they are taking down the scaffolding today. Also, you can see here, they have prepped this area to finish the sidewalk and the driveway approach. Well, this video is getting pretty long, and really there's not much left. I also want to note that it's totally normal for a home to have a fairly long list of items to still be completed at this point. In this home, we still have missing baseboards, vent covers, concrete at the driveway approach and sidewalk, some cabinet repair, paint touch-up, and of course, the final cleaning. And this concludes video 3 of my comprehensive video on the construction of a home. If you watched videos 1 and 2 also, you've now seen the entire process of a home being built from the ground up. I didn't want to bore you with the final 7 to 10 day part of the home building process, and really I felt like there's no reason to film it. To see pictures of the home after its final cleaning, please follow me on Instagram at Ty the Real Estate Guy. Finally, I want to thank you all for watching. I started on this project 3 months ago, and it feels great to see it all come to fruition. I'd love to read your comments and questions below, so please don't hesitate to type something. If you found this video helpful, please give me a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more educational, new home construction, and real estate videos.